We know MLK, we know Malcolm X, we know Rosa Parks, and we know the iconic Shirley Chisholm. But who are some of the unsung black heroes that we know nothing about? Well, join me this Black History Month as we walk through 28 days learning about 28 who should be iconic but are unsung black heroes. Hello everyone, I'm QuentinRJiles, the host of the Q with Q show, and welcome to another episode of Unsung Black Heroes. Every day this month, Black History Month 2021, I'm going to introduce heroes who have influenced not only the African American community, but the world at large. Now today we're going to be focusing on a woman named Claudette Colvin. Claudette was one of the first women to refuse to give up her seat for a white person while riding a bus. Because I thought that was Rosa Parks. Ooh, come on in, let me tell you about Claudette. Claudette was born on September 5th, 1963 in Montgomery, Alabama. She was born Claudette Austin, but her parents were unable to financially provide for her. So she was adopted by her birth mother's great aunt and uncle, C.P. Colvin and Mary Colvin. Her father mowed lawns and her mother was a maid. Claudette attended Booker T. Washington High School and was a member of the NAACP Youth Council in her local area. During this time as a member of the NAACP, Claudette formed a close bond with her mentor, Rosa Parks. Oh, they was friends. While at school, Colvin was learning about historical figures such as Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, as well as discussing injustices that were being experienced by Black Americans during the current Jim Crow era. Colvin took this information and determination with her when she refused to accept the discrimination that was being forced upon her, like Jim Crow laws. Okay, now what's Jim Crow laws? Jim Crow laws were a collection of local ordinances and statutes that legalized racial segregation in the U.S. Lasting for about 100 years, these laws were meant to disparage Black Americans and make it impossible for them to vote, get an education, hold a job, eat in public, and much, much more. Colvin grew up experiencing the unfair and unjust laws that were set in place. So what does she do about it? She was only 15 years old when she was forcefully removed by two police officers when she refused to give up her seat on the bus for a white woman. The bus driver, when Colvin refused to move to the back of the bus, got the local police involved in order to remove her from the bus. She was handcuffed and sent to jail due to her just standing up for her rights. Colvin once said while talking about the encounter, one of them said to the driver in a very angry tone, "Who is it?" The motorman pointed at me. I heard him say, "Oh, that's nothing new. I've had trouble with that thing before." He called me a thing. They came to me and stood over me. One said, "Aren't you going to get up?" I said, "No, sir." He shouted, "Get up," again. I started crying, but I felt even more defiant. I kept saying over and over in my high-pitched voice, "It's my constitutional right to sit here just as much as that lady. I paid my fare. It's my constitutional right." I knew I was talking back to a white policeman, but I had enough. Colvin had this encounter 9 months before Rosa Parks took a stand, or in this case, a seat, and started up with the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. The reason why Colvin's actions is so important is not only did she stand up for what was right, but she fought for justice in the courts and won. Her action of not getting up then and going to the courts to challenge the law along with 3 other women in a court case called Browder versus Gale, she along with the other ladies ended up winning this court case, which in turn made it illegal for buses to uphold the segregation laws that were currently in place. Colvin took a stand against the injustice she went through and changed the course of history. Okay, so if she did all that, why don't we know who she is? The reason we don't really know who she is because at the time, Colvin was a 15-year-old girl who became pregnant following her arrest and was unmarried. Now, at the time, the NAACP did not believe it would go over well with the public if a 15-year-old pregnant girl was the face of a monumental civil rights protest. When interviewed about the lack of notability surrounding Colvin told reporters that at the time, the NAACP and other Black organizations in the area thought Rosa would be a good fit for the movement because she was an adult and they believed teenagers to be unreliable. She was also noted saying that Rosa Parks had the right look and the right hair, and her skin tone gave her a very middle-class look. Child, so they used colorism in the struggle for civil rights? Or were they just trying to play the game because they knew that's how the game would be played? In total, Colvin stated that, quote, she fit the profile. Rosa Parks became the face of the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. Colvin later moved to New York City and didn't talk much about her experience. At the time, the community that she moved to was focused on prominent Black figures such as Malcolm X. Though Colvin is not widely known, her efforts push forward civil rights. Stay tuned for more unsung Black heroes. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something, subscribe for more, and make sure you hit that bell notification to be the first in the queue.